What's up, everybody? It's the Tabletop Tyrant, and we're going to talk today about list construction the Tyrant way. So if you're ready for it, let's go. What you're going to see here is the 5-step process that I go through when creating a new list or when constructing a list. So the first thing I do, I meet up with the homies, right? We do some theory crafting. We come up with a reason why we're going to make war with each other. We make a campaign, if a campaign is going to be escalation or not. And then kind of what to do if you don't have the homies, and which I save that for the end because it's something I kind of want to tap on a little more. Now with theory crafting is something that I think I take really heavy inspiration from when I am playing the game. I love coming up with a character that maybe isn't me. I don't identify through it, but I want it to resemble me because I'm putting my time, work, paint, everything into this to make it look good. So I'll come up with a general that I think looks dope. I'll sculpt some sweet hair on him to match my sweet, luscious locks. Maybe if I got a beard, I'll sculpt the beard on him. He'll always be fit, so that's my one lie. But they say, you know what the kids say these days, you got to manifest. So that's what I do when I paint that thing. I'm manifesting a fucking 6-pack. But anyways, moving on, we come up with a big reason to make war, right? So say right now my daughter and I are in the middle of a big campaign. We're doing Armatura, which is a point in time in the Horus Heresy. It's right after Cal, Lorgar, and Grun have kind of battled their way and chewed through the galaxy, and they're falling on this war world that's very industrial that will help the Ultramarines kind of replenish their numbers if they don't take it out. And then they go through and we execute that. And we are going around kind of doing our bases and making a table and doing terrain that would represent Armatura. So like from the book, it was a dusty battleground, a war world. So probably a lot of buildings and industry, definitely rubble because they talk about a lot of dust. And then they used a lot of destroyers in the opening part of it. So we're going to have little chem pools and rad stuff and burns and everything. It's going to be sweet. So that's a big reason why we come up with a reason to make the war. We need to come up with a topography, the idea that we're going to be going in, maybe generals, like another example is Bretonnian vampire counts. Right now, I am getting ready for this battle against Bretonnia, and my whole thought process is like the Scepter of Denor is going to be one of the bigger artifacts he takes, but it'll be like any double number is going to trigger a miscast. And I know people are like, why would you do that? Because the lore behind Denor's Scepter is so freaking chef's kiss. It's so freaking fantasy. I love it. He goes to this graveyard in Bretonnia, and he's like this kind of cocky, full of himself, half-assed necromancer. And he goes and he holds this staff up, and he has this huge magical feedback where it wakes up all the dead in Bretonnia, not just a cemetery. And of course, he has no power over it, and he's ripped apart. So I just think that that's kind of something I wanted to portray in my Vampire Counts army. I won't have any vampires. It'll just be whites and a necromancer, and the dude's probably going to blow up quite a lot. Now, a made campaign. Campaigns can be anywhere from an escalation to a big freaking set of points to orbitally dropping on a planet to maybe holding a planet doing stronghold. That's going to be entirely up to your friends and something you guys sit down and hash out, and kind of helps put the idea of how you're going to want to build an army. Maybe there's an attacker and defender. Maybe you want to go heavy fast attack. And I like it because it gives you a reason to get models that you want to paint that maybe aren't good in the meta, but they look freaking sweet, and there's a reason to take them. And that's a good thing that I like personally. And then what if you have no homies? So a little background, I was a Marine, I was an infantryman, and, most of my friends in my youth were guys I met through the Marine Corps, and I was, active duty. So I eat, breathe, slept shit next to these guys for 4 freaking years. Fantastic gentlemen, most of them. And, when I got out, I didn't have any friends. We all lived away from each other. And that was something where I had to kind of learn and meet new people. And some of the ways I did that was I would go to a shop. I would just really be like the brutal me. I'd be exactly who I was. And if people liked it, they liked it. If they didn't, they didn't. I would recommend, if you're a bit nervous to go around people, go on a day where maybe it's not a league or not meeting, and just kind of see what's there. Bring an army with you. If someone comes, play, at least talk to the shopkeeper, talk shop. I mean, it's all really dependent on your area. I think if you don't want to be peddled to, some GW stores are known for it, go to a mom and pop hobby shop and check it out there. 2, Discord communities are huge. I haven't been to one hobby shop in this last year that does not have a Discord. Get on that Discord, post some of your stuff. If you have questions, be sure to ask questions. Really get yourself out there and get people to kind of know who you are. You're not going to make everyone like you. Not everyone is going to like you. And guess what? You're not going to like everyone you meet. But when you do meet a couple people that jive with you, that have similar interests and goals, you're going to have really great friends. One of my best friends I've had for years, I met him through a hobby shop. He was actually managing one of the games workshops at the time. And then, he stepped away from that, but we've been able to enjoy all the old editions. Yeah, editions I didn't even get to enjoy, like when they were around, like 4th Ed 40K. That is an edition I came to with him that we're playing through, that we're having a ton of fun right now in the middle of that list building process for that 10,000 point Apocalypse game on November 10th. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Understand not everyone's going to like you. Understand you're not going to like everyone. Try to be cordial, put your best foot forward, and be authentic to who you are. If you don't like the current editions, don't be rude and say that edition sucks. Maybe phrase it like, hey, it's not for me, and I want to play an older edition. And eventually you'll meet someone that comes in once a month or whatever, and they play that old edition. They're willing to get down on it with you. I think the biggest thing is it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? I don't like Heresy 2.0. For me, I could come on here and say Heresy 2.0 sucks. But that's not really getting the point across why. Heresy 2.0 is something a lot of people do enjoy. I'm just not one of them. I don't like the reactions. I don't like the change to weapon skill. And I don't like contemptors. But that doesn't mean that someone out there hates Heresy 2.0. More people might like it than hate it. What it means is it's about how you convey something. I will still play a Heresy 2.0 game to have fun and throw down with a homie, because at the end of the day, I can just change a rule if I don't like it and he agrees to it. It's a house rule. So I'm not really bothered a whole lot by additions, but again, I have gone out of the way to create a friend group of people where we are open to change and we are open to interpretation. Now, that's why that point was at the end, because I knew it was going to take kind of a little bit to talk about. Now, move on to the next point we have. Settling on points. Big or small, Apoc or Storm Magic. Some of you might not even be familiar with what Apocalypse is. Some of you new to the old world might not be aware of what Storm Magic is. Apocalypse had so many cool things, from formations to taking, and this is before 7th edition when everything had formations. It had formations where you could take things like Dreadclaw drop pods, you could take Titans, you can take Chaos Spined Beasts. Tau had some cool stuff. I don't know what they are because I'm not a Tau player, but I'm sure there's something in there for everybody. I have the Imperial Armor Apocalypse books. I'm going to be going over them Friday because they're just such a freaking goldmine. But my point is that's a game where you would play massive amounts of points, put big things on the table, and throw down and crump. And then you have Storm Magic, which is almost like the fantasy version of that. It was like this crazy, drawn-out magic phase where the winds of magic are going all crazy and over the place. They had really cool scenarios, one of which is like a crazy sorcerer in a tower, and you gotta be the first one to kill him or the opponent. You can have some friend that doesn't maybe want to take it serious or just wants to drink a beer and hang out and eat pizza. You can have him be the sorcerer in the tower, and you can give him as much power as you want, or he can just do what the book tells him to do. You summon in these arcane fulcrums, which are like these crazy magic buffs. It's a really broken game, but it's a lot of fun when you throw down on it. So those are just like massive, massive games. 2. You want to play a small game. Maybe you want to build up. Now, for me, when I'm starting a new army, I start with like 500 to 1,000 points. And maybe my goal is to paint everything before I add on. For that, you and your friend could choose, hey, I want to do an escalation style game. Hey, maybe I want to do a small point game because I work a lot and I have family and I can't really get out there and spend 2-3 hours playing a board game. Maybe I want to stick to 500 to 750 points. It's entirely up to you guys to decide on the points limit, but that is something that does factor into my army, because if I take a lot of points, I have free reign to pretty much take whatever I want. And if I have small points, I gotta find the things I really like to look at and squeeze them in there. Chaos Warriors eat up a lot of points. Orcs really don't. So maybe if I'm going small points, maybe I'll take more Orcs. Maybe I'll take my Vampire counts. But if I'm doing big points, maybe I'll take my Warriors of Chaos, and you'll start seeing all the cool monsters come out like Warpfire Dragons. It's all up to you and the points that you're able to take. Now, keeping a rule set in mind, tournament play, multiple editions, don't overthink. Those are my 3 bulletins because those are the 3 things I think are the biggest thing. Tournament play. Listen, I'm not a big tournament player. I can play tournaments. I can win some games, but I'm not going to make my whole personality and life out of it. It's just not for me all the time. I want to enjoy what I'm playing, or I want to put my own character into it. And that's why I don't really do it a whole lot. But tournament play offers a lot of great things. You set a set points limit. You know, in older editions or other editions like Old World, you pay for your upgrades. 40k doesn't, I don't think, and I don't think Age of Sigmar does. But you set a point limit. You can go and Google, tournament brackets, random generator, put the names of the people in, do double elimination, round robin, and then follow that bracket. Meet up maybe 1 to 2 times a month, and your guys are able to get that, finish it out, and have a lot of fun. So that is something that you can do. You could even on a double elimination bracket or round robin. For the first one, 1,000 points. Second one, 1,500. Next one, 2,000. And then you can play forward again. I would probably mostly stick to that with a round robin, but that's just me. Next, multiple editions. These models are getting more expensive. It is what it is, right? Either you buy GW, you print, you put little cardboard cutouts out, you put movement trays and just write what the hell is on it. Or you use the bases. I've seen it all, and I respect all of it. I respect everyone having their own way to hobby. But for those that maybe buy Games Workshop, don't lock yourself into this imaginary bubble where you think, I just have to play the current meta. Right now, World Eaters players from the groups I'm on are a bit miffed that 8-bound, are really broken. Okay, if you play narratively, then you don't really care about the 8-bound. You're going to play the Berserkers and you're going to have fun with it, right? If you play older editions, guess what? Khorne Berserkers are pretty freaking legit in about every edition I've played. Maybe they're not going to win every game. Maybe they're going to get messed up by Tau. But, you can't go wrong with a Dirge caster in 7th edition, a Land Raider, and dump them out, and then they can't Overwatch. There's ways to work it around where if you bought the models and maybe you're not happy with this edition, man, go find someone that also isn't happy with the edition and learn another one. Most editions are free on the internet. You can type in said edition, said book, and hit enter, and someone will point you in the right way. 4th edition has a massive community of people that keep up with it. 6th edition fantasy, massive community of people. There's still a ton of homies loyal to 8th edition and 7th edition 40k. My point is if you like an edition or you're interested or curious about it, open yourself up to it, look for those groups, ask questions, get out there. Same points I would make towards making friends, same thing when joining groups. And then don't overthink it, right? You might sit there and say, well, what if I don't have this, or what if I don't have it? It doesn't matter if you do or don't have it. Make the best out of everything that you do have and keep looking to the positives. And don't let something cloud your brain. If you want to take Raptors and you know they're crap, take them. If you want to play, Word Bears and they suck, take them. If you want to do it, enjoy yourself. You want to play Red Corsairs, I'm naming a lot of Chaos Space Marines. I mess with Chaos, dude. They're my homies. But that's my thing. Moving on. Hobby and painting. This is a Plague Marine I painted. I just kind of wanted to share it off. Think of colors you want to do. Right now I'm working on a Warriors of Chaos Tzeentch army alongside with some vampire counts and stuff like that, right? But when I did the Warriors of Chaos and I started painting them, I really wanted to paint blue. I like that Talisar blue contrast, and I was hell-bent to try it over silver, and this is how it came out, and it's beautiful, and I freaking enjoy it. Now, I wouldn't have probably chosen to do this if I didn't have a reason for a narrative player for Storm Magic to get this done, right? 2, when you're hobbying, you need to think of topography. Where are my guys going to be battling? Where do I want to put them? Maybe you made your own map. Maybe you're doing a planetary orbital bombardment. For these guys, I put some goop on the bottom of the base to make it look like some poison spilled. And it's just some UV resin. It can be simple or as complicated as you want it to be, right? For my Son of Horus up here I put a bunch of rubble and ground. For my World Eaters, I did a bunch of old city ruins where I'm going to go through with weathering powder and make it look like it's just been blasted to hell. Now, units and aesthetic. I have this unit right here, which is the Tzeentch Warriors on Discs of Tzeentch. 1, they're in Total War Warhammer. 2, they're freaking sweet. I am making the rules for them and making sure that the people I play with appreciate the rules, and agree with them. It's my job to make the rules where someone agrees. So it's not going to be this overpowered unit. As a matter of fact, all you have to do if you want to use them in the old world is just take the Disc of Tzeentch profile from the freaking Chaos Demons, which is free in the PDF, and then put some Chaos Warriors on top, add the points together, and then take the profiles and combine them, and you're in there. You're done. So that's what I did for them. I did it for them in 8th edition as well, because Storm Magic, right? And that's pretty much all you got to do. Maybe you want to run Carrick Acolytes, you're playing a friendly game. In Age of Sigmar, they have an 18-inch range. You get to throw a fireball. It's 4s and 4s, right? So maybe if you wanted to take that like I did, you can apply 18-inch range. So if you're not within 9, you add 1 to hit. And if it's freaking strength 3, so that way it's 5s to wound, anything toughness 4. That's fair. You know, come up with reasons to have fun and enjoy what you want to enjoy. Don't lock yourself into this artificial box of something that isn't really around you. And also, again, it has to be cool with your homies to get down on this. Now, lore accuracy. So I'll try to keep my units very lore accurate. With the World Eaters, I make them just these rampaging Zerkers and kind of like lots of infantry, lots of jump infantry. I have 3D printed jump packs because I thought they were cool. I took the old Berserkers, chopped the legs off or put backpacks on them or gave them 3D printed sweet torsos like this guy, and I made them like that. I try to bring the accuracy to whatever I do to make it, you know, kind of fit the narrative. Now, starting an army. Starting an army is a big deal. A lot of things go into starting an army and list building. You can't build a list if you don't know what you're going to do. Any of the starter sets are awesome. They're great. But it will do one thing if you're new to the hobby or you've done enough. You'll get that sweet, sweet hobby burnout. You're going to sit there, especially with something like Tomb Kings or Old World stuff. You're going to sit there, you're going to build a good chunk of it. You're going to be cleaning mold lines, hating your life, not enjoying anything. You're going to get stuck in this trap of building models. And then by the time you've built this entire set that you got for a pretty decent price, you're going to sit there and say, man, F this. I don't want to paint them because I just dedicated all this time to it. Or you might be the opposite and say, I can't wait to get these painted. I noticed for me, if I build everything completely outright, I need to take a break. So for me, I build as I paint. Here's 500 points built. Now I'm going to sit down and paint it. And that way, if I want to bounce, at least I got a little 500 point start ready for whenever I want to use them in a campaign or something. 2 is tactics. I'm not talking about power gaming tactics. I'm coming up with your own thought tactics here. Maybe I take a Chaos Lord. I want some Raptors to join him, right? Maybe you take, I don't know, a Librarian. You want to put him with some Terminators. I don't know how other things play. I only play Chaos because it's what I like. Keep that stuff in mind. Come up with a reason. I took a Raptor Lord. I gave him some Raptors to go with him. I'm going to deep strike him, which means I'll probably need another character on the table. So that's how I do that. I come up with tactics and I make it work with my list. Maybe I'll win, maybe I'll lose, but at least I'm enjoying myself. Which brings me into my next talking point, which is enjoyment. 40k 4th and 7th edition are some of my favorite editions to take part in when it comes to 40k. I appreciate how they play. I appreciate how they look. I can build some cool models. And while maybe 7th edition lacks the flavor 4th edition did, they came out with that Traitor Legions book. And look, I'm not saying that that's anything like the 3.5. It's not. But it didn't get enough time in the sun to shine because we came out with 8th so soon after. But if you're a Chaos player like I am, you can get that Traitor Legions book, and they have a little bit of Warlord trades, some special rules, some freaking tactical objectives that you do Maelstrom, and then their own war gear. It's a little bit simpler if you're used to Heresy rules. Whereas if you want to go through and play a completely different system from Heresy, you love 40k, and you like the customization of Horus Heresy, go back to 4th and pick up the rulebook, download it, whatever you got to do, and read through it and build up your own army that way. I recommend to anyone on the fence with 4th, it's not as complicated as it seems. It's actually, I would say, one of the easiest editions to kind of understand. Fantasy 8th edition, another one I get down on. Now, 6th is cool, and it has its place for a lot of like the fantasy community, but 8th for me, I think I just had a lot of fun in its heyday, playing through Tamarcon, Monstrous Arcanum, Storm of Magic, Sigmar's Blood, all those campaign books I really enjoyed. Now, I'm under no disillusion that GW pumped all that out there to make money, and they did, but I bought those books at the retail price, and 10 years later, I still use them. So I think that that's a pretty big win. Again, we talked about using your own units. I'm doing it with the Tzeentch Chaos Warrior Knights on disc. Do it with your own. Make a unit. Come up with it. Maybe you want dudes riding Bloodhounds. Buy the Bloodhounds. Buy whatever rider you want. Put them on there. Maybe you want to print dudes riding a Bloodhound. You can do it. Maybe you want that Khorne to sit there and you want your Khorne Juggernaut riders, but you don't like the idea of painting demons. Buy the Blood Crushers. Put Chaos Marines on there, and then you got your own cool unit that you can use in 10th edition. There's ways around it, and I've seen a lot of people like, I would have liked Juggernaut units. Take the Blood Crusher profile, put Marines on there, and you have that. Have fun. Go at it. I don't know what you can do for the new Thousand Sons robots. I stand by it. They're ass, but that's just me. Tell a story. For me, a lot of enjoyment comes from telling a story of my character. Maybe I'm doing this Warhound who's a world eater. Maybe he looks back at himself. He's on Armatura. He's ripping people apart. And I can kind of display that on his armor. I can put the little Warhound. I can freehand it. I can use some colors on him, some iconography. And I can kind of tell the story through the model, which is something I really love. You can do it in 40K. You can do it in Heresy. I've done it in Old World. I'm doing the Blood Dragons for some vampires I'm painting up. So that way, if I want to get rid of the necromancers one day, I can just insert vampires, and it's still a completely different army, but it plays completely different, but it's the same army. So try to tell a story. And the biggest thing is, like, enjoy your time with friends. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had late night talks where I'm talking about crafting an army. We're going back and forth, bouncing ideas off each other. What if we did this? My buddy has a Chaos War Mammoth he wants to bring out in the next team. What if I ran, the freaking Element of Death, and I was able to print one or make one or sculpt one or convert? You know what I mean? So theory craft with the homies, get ideas, bounce back and forth, have a good time, really enjoy the hobby aspect of the game. And you don't have to be a great painter to enjoy that. I'm not the best. I enjoy painting. I don't paint competitively like I used to. I just enjoy what I put on the table, Do the same thing. Be comfortable with yourself to say, hey, I want to try this. And if you need help, don't be afraid. Like my buddy Nate, sometimes I'm like, I need you to help hold this while I'm doing this. Or, hey, what do you think I should do for this? Or he knew how to sculpt scales when I was doing my Khorne Dragon. Little did I know how big the Khorne Dragon would truly be in Age of Sigmar. But he helped me sculpt the scales on Dorgar because I cut it up and repurposed it and reposed it. If I find a picture of it, it'll be up here. But it was a lot of fun, and it wouldn't have been able to really get the look I wanted at the time because I wasn't as good as green stuff as he was. And he was able to help bring my idea to life with me. And now, finally, for the end. Look, the biggest takeaway from this video I would like it to be for people is enjoy yourself. Enjoy your hobby. This is a hobby that's not only expensive, time-consuming, it requires a lot of reading. By the time you've read the rules, built the models, cleaned the models, painted the models, put them on the tabletop, from start to finish, you've invested tons of time. Get the most you can out of those models. If that means that you're getting tired of 10th edition, you don't like it, go play 9th, go play 8th, go play 4th, go play Heresy. Figure out ways to get the most out of what you enjoy. For me, bouncing around, seeing a bunch of people that I know in the community that tend to bounce around or get sidetracked, they start something and then something changes and I see them get upset and they're like, oh, this is horrible now, it's not going to be good. But to me, it's like, well, then find people that agree with this edition and go back to when it was good. I mean, you have the books, you paid all these money for the books, use them. I still use all my 4th ed books. I still look at my APOC. I still use my 8th edition and my 6th edition books. The books are never bad. The rules are never bad. If you can find one person that wants to play with you, one person that has a similar goal with you in the hobby, whether that be hardcore tournament play or hardcore freaking just nerding out, figure out what you want. Come to the conclusion, build a list around what's conducive to you, the homies that are going to accommodate you, and everything else going forward. Now, I want to thank you all for your time. This is a pretty long video for me just to kind of rant about how I construct a list. And I know it's not entirely focused on list construction in a competitive way. I'm not going to ever focus my army to be a competitively winning army. I play big armies. So in that, I can typically tend to make a competitive army out of it if I need to drop down to 2,000 or 1,000 or 1,500 points. But again, don't get so focused on what wins, what's good. Books change, rules change. Heresy 1 went to Heresy 2 with reactions. I loathe it. Other people like it. Okay. But for me, I can still get all those use out of the red books I bought. My buddy who has the black books, he still gets to crack them open and look at them. We're able to go through and sculpt and bring to life and do characters. And maybe there are some things like the command squads that we want to take from Heresy 2 to Heresy 1. We're able to. My point is don't tidally lock yourself into something that you don't enjoy anymore. Go out, find what you do enjoy, find people that will enjoy it with you, and enjoy it. That's all I have to say today, everybody. It's been the Tabletop Tyrant. This Friday, we'll be covering the APOC Imperial Armor books. Peace.